one of those available templates, and we are good to go with creating our own set of extensions. Good. Now what next? Once I create my extensions, what should I do? See here, this is what you have to do. Import them into a workspace. Okay. In the meantime, let me just stop the server. Okay. So after you do this, you just have to import that into a workspace. What is this them is? Import the extensions. So just import the extensions into a workspace. So how do you do that is, I'm assuming most of you know it, but still do one thing, just go till your path, whatever you have, go till bin. Okay, copy it and just open your Eclipse, go to file and say create a new workspace. For now I have opened another workspace, so I'm just continuing with it. So what you need to basically do is copy it and say browse, no, and say okay. Sorry, my bad. What am I doing? I should have created it as, okay, whatever it is, no problem, that's not a big deal. It would create the metadata files here, which is not the accepted one, I mean which is not the generally expected one. You can give your path only till this. Okay, that would do fine. I have given it till bin file, no problem. You can ignore it. What you can do is you can give it only till the morning batch. Okay, or you can give a completely different path, whatever you are expecting, not a big deal. What I have done here is, see here, because I have given till bin, the remote system template files and the metadata files are created here. If you want, you can just delete this workspace and create the workspace here. So that's not a big point at all. I just created it. I wanted to import the extensions. That's where I copied the path. No problem. You can just give it till here. Okay. For example, see here. For this new tech batch, I have created the new tech batch as a workspace, inside which you have your metadata, config, and remote system template files, which are specific to your workspace. So that's how you have to do it. My bad, I have created it directly till here. No problem. Anyways, the importing and all will not be a problem at all. Okay, you just have to make sure that you select the required extensions. That's it. Now let us just try to see. Okay, now that you have IDE, just right click and say import. Okay, go to import and say existing projects into workspace, say next. Now you have to give the exact path till bin, because you want to import all the extensions, right? Because that's where you write your code and your extensions are present in bin. Now just browse through it. You will be able to see the list of all the extensions that are present in bin. Now from here you import only those extensions which you really work on, as in not just the custom, but the ones which are already given to you by Hybris as well. Now here, because you have created an exact copy of because you have created the exact copy of Y accelerator and whatever Y B2B, ideally you should only import those extensions which are present in your local extensions.xml file. So if you have some kind of files, what to be in a single line, this is how you have to do it. You have mentioned your extensions in local extensions.xml file. Just import those extensions. That's it. Whatever is present in local extensions, just import them. Whatever is not present, just remove them. So I'm just going to remove the y accelerator related stuff because we have commented these out, if you remember. And in a similar way, I'm also going to remove the YB2B because, like I told you, in some machines, both of them don't work if we are keeping it together. So, anyways, I'm only concentrated on developing the uh, Y accelerator related stuff as of now. So I'm just importing these. So what am I doing? I created my extensions. They got created in a custom folder. So I'm importing those custom folder related extensions also. You can see here the Nike facades, Nike related stuff is already there. I'm just scrolling down, and if you see, I'm just going to import the complete folders which are present within. I mean all the extensions that are present within the bin, and then I'm just going to remove even the YB2B accelerator related stuff. So Y accelerator and YB2B accelerator are completely removed. And let me just see if they on. That's it. So whatever is required, I have just imported it. Okay, and say finish. So you can see the list of all extensions here. Now what generally happens is you see some build errors within your workspace. So don't worry about the build that is failing here. So for example, after you import, there would be some build failures within this ID. That doesn't mean you're having real build failures uh, in your ant command when you run it. That's a different build. This is a different build. This build is not something which is your final build. Okay, if you're doing some file modification within this, you can have auto build enabled here. Then that case you need basically a place where you can resolve your workspace errors. So for which I think we've already sent you a document. This is what is the document. See here, this is what I have sent you. So if you have Wiki Libraries, you can even check out that Eclipse workspace errors. You will be able to resolve it. Just that there are some common errors when you try to import your projects into your workspace. So you just have to resolve those simple errors. Okay. So there are some errors which are caused due to failed imports. There are some because you haven't set your ant home. So you just have to set those things. So these are the set of errors that you would be facing. You just have to browse through them. Okay, and then you will be able to uh, set your complete. See, these are the errors that I was talking about. Okay, like this, you would be seeing your extensions. You just have to resolve them by importing the required stuff, and it would be helping you to solve the Eclipse build space errors. Anyways, that's not a big deal. Even if you have it, not a big deal. Yeah, this is what is the point. Now, if you see here, it is not just these files that you would be working on, but as a part of your job, you would also be modifying the config folder, because config folder contains two important files. One is your this one. You would be having your uh, what file? Okay, local.properties, and you have your local extensions.xml file. So you just have to import even your config folder. That would help you in reducing your effort. Otherwise, manually you'll have to go and edit it. So it is always recommended even to import your config folder as well. So config, browse, and say finish. Okay. So this would help you to do a control shift R, and you will be able to have local extensions.xml file directly. Okay. That way you would be easily able to modify everything in your Eclipse itself, instead of opening everything in your in notepad and all that stuff. So very simple thing. whatever you have here, see, because we have commented these out, that is why I did not import those. If you did not comment those, you will be able to import it. So as simple as that. Okay, so now that you have your extensions ready to work on, so you can start your work. Okay, so because I have something here, let's start our data modeling concept. Okay, now this would take close to, data modeling would take us close to 3 to 4 hours. Okay, this is a continuous 3 to 4 hours topic wherein we learn about full data construction. Okay, now I just concentrate this one because this is where your first interview questions start. If somebody is attempting hybrid interviews, this is your first point where your interview questions would be started. The first round of interviews would be talking about this technically. Now, the whole points that you have learned till now is a different story. From here, it is a completely different story. From here, your real work starts. Your real work. Okay. See here, any kind of application you take any kind of Java application. There will be three layers. Okay, there will be three layers. You know these concepts. One is your presentation layer, the other one is your business layer, and the third one is your database layer. So no matter what you are working on, you would require these three layers. Now Hybris supports four different kinds of databases, if you remember: HSQL, Oracle SQL, and you have MySQL, and you have Microsoft SQL Server, right? Any of these you would be able to connect because you have four different databases. Now logically if you assume you would basically require four different, okay, whatever it is, you would basically require four different see, this is your presentation layer, this is your business layer, this is your database layer. Now there are four different databases that you can connect to. Logically speaking, I would require this kind of a design. What No matter what database I'm connecting to, I should be able to create the same table in all of these databases. So from here, when I'm trying to save data, I require I require something like a common syntax wherein if I try to create a table, the same table should be created here or here or here or here. So my point here is, irrespective of what database you are connected to, you require a same table structure. Now let us get into a technical point. Because I have this kind of concept, create table syntax is may be different in different databases. So it can be completely different, right? In one database it might be like create table name, and you might be having columns, and you will have your data type and the size. In other databases it might be a little different. There might be a little twist and tweak of your database related configurations. It's not that the create table syntax should be same, because SQL is different, MySQL is different. They are two different databases. They may be having same syntax, they may not be having same syntax, because the data types etc. might not be supported. So the concept here is, I would require, see, I'll try to draw a diagram again. So I would like to have some kind of intermediate layer. Okay, I would like to have some intermediate layer which would help me to create the same table structure to all the databases that I'm connecting to. So I connect to one database, I need to create the same table. I connect to this database, I create the same table. I create to another database, I create the same table. So I give my definition in this kind of notation. In this intermediate layer, I'll be giving my table definition. Now that table definition would only be creating the corresponding tables in whatever database I'm connecting to. So this concept is there both in ATG and Hybris. And that is why Hybris has come up with, see, because you require a single table structure on all the databases. you would not be, generally speaking, you would not be creating 4 different scripts. You should not be creating 4 different scripts. So why? Because let's say in your local environment, development environment, you are connected to HSQL database. Now you are doing a code check-in and you are moving it into development. Okay, in your development it might be connected to MySQL. Okay, in your local it is HSQL, in your development it might be MySQL, and from development environment you are pushing it to QA, the code. So in QA environment you might be having it as MS SQL server. You might be from the QA environment you are pushing to, let's say, SIT. From SIT you are pushing it to UAT. From UAT you are pushing it to production. Now all of those might be connected to SQL. So you have HSQL, MySQL, MS SQL, and then you have your SQL. So the point here is you would not be writing 4 different table scripts for 4 different databases, because because of your requirement you wanted to create a new table, you would not be creating in 4 different databases scripts. What you would be coming up with is a strategy wherein you would write a single script which should work across all of the databases. You would write a single script. Now, can you think of a similar design and tell me how can you achieve? You got my point? My point is I don't want you to create 4 different scripts for the same table in 4 different languages. I want you to come up with a design which would help me to write a single script which would work across all. Now, if I have to write it in a single script, what would I prefer?
I would go
What
with
way?
a framework. I would go with framework like Hibernate.
Okay, so ORM, because ORM is something which is used to fetch data. Uh, it is not used to create, right? First of all, I need tables in my database. Then I can use ORM like Hibernate or Ibatis or probably JPA to connect to it and save data, right?
No, I mean when you are writing in Hibernate, when you are creating the session factory itself, you can give it as create as option.
See, when you are using Hibernate,
Hmm.
would you generally create tables using Hibernate, or would you try to save data into tables using Hibernate?
See, once the project starts and once it is in production, we'll save it. But initially, you can put it as create is equal to true.
One thing, even if you put create equal to true, what my question is, I want to create a table in this database. This is my, let's say, SQL schema. I want to create these tables. Now, can I create them using, I mean, what is ORM? What is ORM? What is ORM? Just tell me this.
Object relational mapping.
Object relational mapping. So you would have a class file and you would have a table which is actually the exact mapping of this class file, right?
Correct.
Whatever you have in class is exactly present in your table. So first of all, if you have a table, then you would be going for your classes, right? Then you would be going for your relations, that this class is mapping to this table, right?
No, need not be. See, as he said, I mean, there is an option where you can specify create tables in
Hmm.
Hibernate.
Hmm.
So, I mean, in the cases are like, I mean, we create the domain objects or the ORM classes, and we just specify create equal to true. That in turn, I mean, based on the dialect, it creates the tables in the database. That option is available. I mean, most likely we don't use, but that
That
option
is
is
what I'm saying.
available.
That
Yeah.
see, the point here is this creating of a table, we would never generally do it with any kind of ORM. ORM, basically, the concept of ORM itself is linking your class files with the tables. That is what Hibernate actually is used for, or saving the data. It is basically used for saving the data, or fetching the data?
Yes, well,
You
I mean,
save
he
or you
was,
fetch the data?
I believe, I mean, he was telling the option which we have. I think, I
Hmm.
mean, that is one option definitely we have so that, we can define the classes based on which specifying the different dialects. We don't have to bother about different SQL scripts creating for different databases.
Hmm.
Rather, we can just, create the classes and configure the dialect if it is Oracle
See,
dialect,
it is
and
not about creating the classes alone. What my point is, it is not just about creating the classes. I am more concerned about tables. I
oh
want
yes,
to,
I mean, yeah, which I mean, whatever the classes which will be turned into the tables. So obviously, I mean, that is possible. I mean, ideally we use it or not, that's a different case because it depends on the database
okay, cool.
model.
I'll try to ask you one more
Yes.
question here itself.
Hmm.
Tell me this, if you are working on an ORM, will you first create a class file or will you create a table first? What is the correct point?
As I said, I mean, if it is a project which has the control, I mean, data modeling is also in my control, and provided it is, I mean, we can easily map the classes into the tables. Then,
You will map classes into the tables. Okay.
yes,
First of
classes
all,
to
do
the
you
table.
need to have tables there or not?
No, we don't have to. That's what I mean. If it can be
Okay.
mapped in the sense, I mean to say, if we are able to, define the data model or the relational model
Hmm.
perfectly, then we
Okay.
can go for
Okay. Here
that
only
option.
yeah.
But
Okay. Okay. I got your point. I got your point.
yeah.
Let me try to ask you one more question here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I have written my business layer code, assuming
Yes.
that because the data modeling concept is at my side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Assuming the data modeling concept is at my side, this is my database. This is my database. Okay. Now I'm assuming that I have I have the data modeling concept at my side. I write my business logic and I connect to my database. Now, at what point of time are your tables created?
Well, at what point of time, meaning, of course, it should be, uh, I mean, you mean before writing your data access layer, obviously
Yeah.
the table should be created.
So how are they created? That is what is my point.
How are they created?
Hmm.
Well,
Eh,
obviously the data
I want a
modeler
trigger point, right? I want it because if I want to create a table, I require a trigger point that yes, at this point my tables are created.
at this point.
Yes, through XML, Kiran. One
So
second,
one
one second. You know the concept. That is why I'm not asking you, Sunil. Don't get into the point.
No, at this point, meaning,
Because I need see it's like in Hibernate, if you start a session, then you can save data, right? You need to first of all establish a session, then get the transaction started, begin it,
yes,
and then you try to save the data. That's how you generally do it in an ORM.
yes,
You fetch your entity manager factory, and then you
whatever.
establish
I
that
mean, if it
manager.
is
That
JPA, then Hibernate is,
exactly
yeah,
what.
yeah,
So you establish that kind of entity manager session, and then you will try to get the transaction started, begin
yes,
transaction and do that. But that
yes.
will happen, but that will generally happen to save the data generally. We do have an option to create, but as far as I remember, we create a new row or something like that. It's because I never
No,
generally have done it with creating a table
yeah.
altogether
It's not
using
just, I mean, most of the people doesn't use that. As I said,
huh.
I mean, because there is an option available, if at all we want to use it, we use it. I mean, it's not that
See,
most of the
in
times
general,
we,
I'm telling you,
oh, in
I'm telling
general,
you,
yes, I definitely
in
agree with
general,
you. That
yeah, yeah.
is, yes,
Okay, okay. In
yeah,
general, my point here is whenever you're talking about an ORM relationship, it is assumed that the tables are already there in your database. Okay, in an ORM, you assume that the tables are already there because table scripts are already present to you. Otherwise, if the tables are not there, what you would do is you would create a schema. In that schema, you would be loading all your tables. Once your tables are ready, in your business layer, in your JDBC properties files, you would try to connect to this particular database, and then because you have your database ready that is directly connected, then you would write your ORM logic using your JPA or whatever, Hibernate or Ibatis, whatever you are using, you will connect to that particular database, and then you would write your entity classes. Okay, this is my you will use some annotations at the rate entity and all that stuff, so as to make that this particular table is mapping to this particular class and all that stuff. You would be configuring it at Hibernate level. That's a completely different story. My point was, I wanted a trigger for this particular tables to be created. So see here, what Hybris has come up with to solve this kind of a problem is, you need not be a database designer. Hybris has eliminated the role of database designer. There is not a database designer role. Nobody specifically is there who would be creating your complete data model. So no matter a requirement comes, or probably you would have to analyze your requirement, it is you as a developer who would be creating your tables. So the point here is, you need not be a database proficient programmer. You need not know the syntax and all. If you know a common syntax, everything else would work. You would just require, see, for example, there are 4 people in your team who know German, French, Hindi, Telugu. These are the 4 languages that these 4 people know. They only know these languages. You are the one who's the translator. If I hire you, I can talk to those 4 people also. You know all the 4 languages. If I need to communicate, I need to learn all the 4 languages. But if I hire you, then I talk to you, you talk to them. The point here is, I only need to know how to talk to you. If I know one way of interaction, all the 4 ways of interaction is also done. This is what Hybris is suggesting. So you only know the middle one, like if I talk to you, the thing is done. I need to know only how to talk to you. That syntax I need to know. That is nothing but a concept called items.xml file. Okay, this items.xml file is used for your data modeling. Hybris has come up with a concept called items.xml file, okay, in which you would configure all your data modeling related stuff. So if you know how to write your items.xml file, then your complete database design is done. No matter what table you want to create, what column you want to create, just go with a simple thing called items.xml file. The first question that would be asked in your interview regarding technical questions are, can you please tell me the items.xml files complete behavior? Because see guys, you need to be also familiar with certain terms. If somebody is talking about data modeling, the only thing that should strike in your mind is items.xml file. Okay, now going forward, we will be learning about so many XML files. Don't be confused, because each and every XML file has got its own significance, its own importance. Don't get confused. Okay, so I'm just opening the uh, Eclipse now. These are what the errors that I was talking about. See, this workspace errors you will be getting, so which you would be able to resolve if you go through the steps. Here and there, if at all you have any doubt, you can just use the help of Google, or probably if you have WikiHybris credentials, just go there and search for Eclipse build space errors. You will be able to resolve them. Okay, those are simple imports that you need to try with your normal activities itself. Okay, if you worked on any J2EE projects, that would be very easy to resolve. Now, do a control shift R. I'll do star items.xml file. Okay, if you see here, you would see that there are pretty much you will be seeing, see here, accelerator CMS, which is your first extension, and you don't see facades XML, you don't see sample data XML, you see services.items.xml, services -items.xml file. Then you see add-on support, admin cockpit, but you don't see it for Amazon Cloud, Azure Cloud. Okay, and you don't, okay, and then okay, Amazon Cloud is also there, Azure is also there, and then you have B2B accelerator services, but you don't have it for facades. So my point here is, items.xml file is present in every in generally, it's not general. Items.xml file is present in extensions, but it is not a mandatory file in all the extensions. Items.xml file is not a mandatory file in all the extensions. It may be present, it may not be present. Items.xml file, write down, is not a mandatory file in all of the extensions. items.xml file is not a mandatory file in all of the extensions. It may be present, it may not be present. Okay, now out of all of the items.xml files that are present, the most important one is core-items.xml file. Okay, this is an XML file which you can use as a reference for all your activities. This single items.xml file would be easy for you to take care of any kind of reference. For example, you forgot something about how to use in an items.xml file. Just use your core items.xml file, your work is done. Okay, so if you forget about how to use a particular tag, because XML means it uses tags. So in case you forget about any kind of work that you need to do, probably you don't know how to use a particular tag, open a core items.xml file, because this particular XML file contains all of the prominent tags that you would be using. Okay, almost all of the tags are covered within items.xml file only. In case you are interested to know more about it, you can just see the documentation, but then whatever I tell in the class would be more than sufficient for it. Okay, I'm just closing down this local extensions. Now this core-items.xml file is present if you see in platform extension. Okay, platform extension contains our core-items.xml file. So I'm just opening this. See here, there are certain tags within this items.xml file. I'm just minimizing all of them. Okay, write down the first important point. This would be your first question in your interview. What is the order of tags in items.xml file? What is the order of the tags in an items.xml file? Order is, first you would have atomic types. First you would be having atomic types, then you would have collection types, then you would have enum types, then you would be having map types, then you would have relations. It's not relation types, it's relations, and then you would have item types. Okay, these are the 6 tags that are present in an items.xml file. Internally there are several subtags, but these are the 6 tags. Okay, now these tags should be present in the same order. These tags should be present in the same order. Okay, what happens if the order is changed? If you change the order,
No, that throws
they
a
would be failed.
compilation error, or you'll have a problem.
If you change the tags order, it would result in build failure. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Compilation error you get. I mean, if your Eclipse has proper XML XSD validation in place.
okay, that is what it would not be there in this particular Eclipse itself. You would have to, whenever you open your command prompt and do an ant, it would throw an error, because you are trying to build it, right? So that's where. Okay, why should they be present in this order only? Because it's very simple. To define an XML, you would require an XSD. It is using items.xsd. I'm assuming you guys know about XSDs well. So if you know, then they have some tags called complex type, and then they have something called sequence, right? So these tags are defined in a sequence. So that is why these tags should be appearing in the same order. And I'm assuming you know about these points like min occurs within this one, and what is it, min occurs equal to 1, max occurs equal to any. if you guys are not aware about XSD writing, just browse through it. So you will be having something like min occurs equal to 0, max occurs equal to NA. So that means a particular tag should be available minimum for this many amount of times, and maximum it can appear any number of times. So that's how you define it. So see, all of these tags are not mandatory. These are not mandatory tags, but if they are present, they should be in the same order. For example, I'm just trying to show you. I'll just try to open Nike star items.xml file. Okay, I have this Nike core items.xml file, right? So I'm just opening this. See here, we directly have a collection type, and then we have an enum type, we have an item type. We are missing out on atomic types and map types and relations. See, they are not there. If they are not there, I'm not bothered about it. But if any tag is present, they should be in this order only. I mean, you cannot write a collection type after your enum type, or probably enum type after your item type. You should not do that. It is not a mandatory tag, but if it is present, you should present it. It should be present in the same order, like how you have here. Okay, so this was my point. So you may have it, you may not have it, but if you have, they should be following the same order. So if you have atomic types and item types, then atomic types should come first, and then you need to have your item types. Remember, guys, if somebody is asking you this question, don't abruptly tell the 6 tags. If the question is asked, tell it in the same order, because the order is very important. If you miss out on the order, the build would be failed. So that would be the next question immediately. Why did you change the order? What happens if you change the order in items.xml file? That would happen. Your build would be failed. So because it has come, Hybris has come up with a standard definition. You cannot modify the XSDs, right? Because XSDs are the schema definitions which are already given to you, that you need to strictly follow them to construct your XMLs. So you cannot change this. This is not in our scope. What is in our scope is to write the tags in the order. So XML we can write, but XSD never we will write. XSD is already given to us. That's a standard. Okay. Now let's talk about each of these tags in detail. We would not be able to complete everything. This item types itself will take us close to 1 hour. Okay. We will try our level best to complete at least 2 tags for today, and I'll be giving ample time to talk about. See, guys, whenever I try to create a table, whenever I try to create any table, this is what is my syntax: create table, table name, and then I would have something like column name, data type, and then I have size, and then I would have constraint, right? This is how I generally do it. And then I would be using the same column name, data type, and then size, and then I would have constraint, right? Same way I would be using everything, and I would be closing this down and semicolon. So this is what is my table name. Now see here, first of all, when we talk about this, we will split the complete problem into small points and we'll talk. Okay, now I want to define a data type. Now this data type might be different across different databases, or it might be common across all of the databases. Now if I need to save data into this table, I would require a POJO class, or probably an entity class table name. Okay, and then I need to have some data type, variable name, and then data type, variable name, and so on. And then I would have the getters and setters. And then I would be closing this particular. Okay, so I have a table and I have a class which are internally mapped to one another. Okay, if you see carefully, I would first of all be able to give a data type which is only compatible within this. I can define my own data type and give it, or I have to use only the available data types. Now in Java you would have primitive data types, non-primitive data types. Non-primitives are the one which you define, primitive are the one which are already available, right? That is in basic Java. But in Hybris, say in the same way, you you might be using normal data types, or you might have to define your own custom data type. For example, you have, if you open the cart, then in the cart class you would also have something called payment, okay, where you will have payment P and you will have shipment. Okay, I'm just giving you a pseudo logic. Okay, this payment and shipping are non-primitive data types which you have defined, so those are nothing but again another classes. So basically the point here is you would require some kind of data types which should be understood by the framework. So framework is not just allowing you to use a primitive data type, but also a custom data type, something which you can do it on your own. So overall, if at all you want to define a simple primitive data type, a normal data type, that is called an atomic type. So if you just see here, I'm just opening this. You see a java.lang.object, java.lang.number, java.lang.integer, java.lang.boolean, byte, double. So these are all your general primitive data types. So you can use these values for your variable or whatever data type that you want to define on. For example, see here, I am trying to define a class. ABC, inside which in this ABC class I want to define something called string name. Okay, in my entity class, if I want to define this as string, first of all I should know whether string is supported or not. Now this, if you are trying to use, then you should define it as an atomic type. That string should be defined as an atomic type. So see here, if you open your Eclipse, you see atomic type, this one, atomic type class equal to string extends this particular object. So that's what they have already defined, that you can use string as your data type. So for example, if you now see it here, don't all of this inside which you are trying to create some column. Attribute means a column called code. Okay, the column's name is code, which is of type java.lang.string. If you are trying to use something called type here, okay, first of all this type should be defined as one of the tags, either atomic type or a collection type or an enum type or a map type or a relation or an item type. It must be some one of these. Basically, if you are using primitive data types, then they are configured as an atomic type. You can create your own atomic type, don't worry. It is not that you cannot create your own atomic type. If you want to create your own atomic type, then you should do it in your XML file. This Nike core items.xml file is there, right? This is your XML file. Otherwise you can use your core items.xml files atomic types, because this particular XML file is present in your platform folder. Every extension that you have created is developed on the top of platform, right? So whatever things that you define in platform can be used by any XMLs, sorry, any projects, any extensions. You have defined all of the extensions on the top of platform. Platform contains your core items.xml file. So whatever is defined in platforms can be used by all the extensions, right? So whatever has been already defined in core items.xml file can be used in any of the XML files. Okay, so here if you open any of the item type, here if you see, they are trying to create something called type equal to gender list. Okay, sorry, type equal to gender list. Now where did they define this gender list? They might be defined in the super extensions. Like for example, a Nike core must have been it is class, super class, subclass concept. Assume that this Nike core is a subclass. Okay, see, this Nike core is present in, see, this is your Nike core extension. Now you must have developed this extension by extending 2-3 extensions. So it's like class A extends B and C. I'm just assuming in a normal OOPS concept. It is not Java. In Java you don't have the 2 extends. But if you are extending 2 classes or 3 classes and creating your simple class, then the properties of the super classes are also present in this. In a similar way, your extension might also have been developed by extending 2-3 different extensions. If you remember, you will have extension info.xml file in every extension, which says what extensions it is dependent on. So if you see here, this gender list must have been defined either in accelerator services or in accelerator CMS or in fulfillment process or in HMC. In one of these, that particular definition is already given. If it is not given in this XML files, because if you open accelerator services, it would also have its own items.xml file. See here, it must have been defined in here, or it must have been defined in this one, or this one, or this one. If it is not defined in this one, then you should again go for the XML files of what are the dependent extensions of accelerator services in the same way. So that's how you figure out where this has been actually defined. If it is not defined anywhere, you can define it here. So you can create your own atomic type class here, sorry, atomic types, and then here you can define your own atomic type. Okay, if you want to define your own atomic type, this is how you can do it. Okay, and then you can give whatever you want, you can give it here. Okay, now this is how you will have to do it, because Nike core items.xml file is under your control. This is present in Nike core. Nike core is something which is present in your custom folder, right? If you go to your bin folder, this custom folder is in your control. If you open your custom folder, this is the place where your Nike core is there. So you can write the code in this, but you cannot go and modify your platform, right? You cannot directly go and modify your platform. That is why you cannot write anything in the core items.xml file. You can use all of which is present in core items, but you cannot write directly into it. That is why if you want to modify something, you would modify in your extensions. This is the place where you will write your extra code. Okay, let's come back to the core atomic types. See, atomic type means a basic data type. If you want to define something as a simple data type that you are supposed to use to create any of the columns, then you would be going with atomic types. Okay, see here, apart from these types, there are some other custom types, custom atomic types, which are defined as a part of your Hybris. So you can use this tax value as a data type. So whenever you create an entity class, that entity class, in the entity class, you can use this particular thing as your data type for your variable that you create. Okay, you can create something, some string you can create, some byte you can create, some double you can create. In a similar way, you can create an instance for tax value, you can create an instance for a discount value, you can create an instance for a standard date range. So the point here is, whatever these are the different data types that you are trying to create, okay, which are already present in Hybris. So Hybris has come up with a set of default data types, so you can use these directly. Okay, these are the things that you can use directly. Basically, atomic type means something which is pointed out at a database level, at a table level, instead not just at a table level, at a column level. If you want to create any column, that is how you do it. Okay, so basic atomic types means a simple tag which is used to identify a normal data type definition. So see here, atomic type represents a simple Java object. The name atomic itself means non-composed. So atomic, you know, right? You cannot subdivide it. So that's how you do it. Okay, string you cannot subdivide. But if you go for a collection, then you can, a list of strings. That means you can still divide it. List of strings. That's not an atomic type. Atomic type is string. Collection of atomic types is a separate concept again. That's nothing but your collection types. Okay, we'll talk about it. Atomic type means basic thing. You cannot subdivide it. You cannot subdivide it. The basic data type that you want to define is an atomic type. If you are already, Hybris has given you with a set of atomic types. If you want to create something as an atomic type, then you should go to your items.xml file and modify it. Now we'll talk about our items.xml file, how many XMLs are there for us to configure and all. That's a completely different story. For now, don't bother about this items.xml file of yours. For now, don't bother about it, because what you would be working on and all, we'll see in detail about that. We are just knowing about one tag called atomic types. Atomic types is a tag in which you would define a basic data type. Okay, ignore about what extents is, auto create is, generate is, and all a little later we'll see, because these are things which are present across all of the tags. When the correct time comes, I'll explain you about this. For now, atomic type class is what you need to remember. Here you need to give whatever thing you want. Okay, you can create your own class and give it here. That can be used as an atomic type from then on. Okay, this is your atomic type. Now I'll try to give you one example, guys. Try to tell me. Probably will not be able to cover it as a part of today's class only. See, I'll give you two definitions, two designs. One user can have multiple orders, right? Yes or no? One user can have multiple orders. Guys, I need one of you to talk.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, at a table level, how will it be stored? User 1 will have O1, O2, O3, O4 stored like this, or user 1, O1, user 1, O2, user 1, O3, user 1, O4. How is it stored? I want to fetch all the details. See, I'll give you the problem statement. Try to think. I want you to give me the count of orders, count of number of orders placed by a customer. There is a customer called C1 who has placed some thousands of orders. I want to know the count of orders. I want to know the count of orders. Will it be good if I have it this way, or will it be good if I have it this way? How should I save it in the database?
Second way.
Second way. Okay, so if you are going through second way, how many rows should you traverse?
In fact, all the rows.
If you are going through this way, how many rows you would have to traverse?
One row.
Which one is more
efficient? How can I get the count?
If you are able to get a column, if there is a column which will be saving data in this way, then it is very easy, right? You can use a delimiter called comma and find out how many are there.
Yeah, plus perfect. 1. Yeah.
Which one is better?
Now, going by the delimiter concept, I would prefer the first one.
Okay. How can I save it in the first way? If I need to save it in the first way, how can I do it in SQL? I require a column which should store values like this. Okay, for this, can you please tell me how the user table will look like? How the user table, what are the columns that are present in user table? User ID, username, etc., etc., etc.
Order ID.
Yeah. Order ID. If this is the case, then in the order table, what would you have? You would have something called order ID.
User ID.
Order ID. You would have order details, all order details related stuff. So if I want to know what are the contents present in this particular order, I would just join it with the order table and I would be able to get the order details. Okay. I would join a user table and I would join the order table with the help of order ID, and I would be able to get the order details, right?
Correct.
It would be something like this: select star, or probably whatever it is, star from user comma order, where user dot OID equal to order dot OID, where and O dot OID equal to, let's say, O1. Is this fine? If I want a user detail and order detail together, guys,
yeah,
I need some
for one particular order it is fine.
For one particular order it is fine, right?
Yes.
Because with the help of user table, Somebody was saying no. Go ahead.
Here at the end, you should have u.oid, correct?
U.oid or O.oid both mean the same, right?
Okay.
What is wrong in it?
Because you are fetching from user table means.
User table or order table, whatever it is, the value is same, right? 10.
Okay.
If you say it as 10, try running the query. Okay, you try it in your local. Okay, let me know if it works, not works. See here, guys. My point here is I am trying to join two tables. To get the full information. Otherwise, I need not really bother about writing the query. Now, it would be easy for me if I have a column which can store values like this instead of this. I would be very happy if I have a column which can save values like this. Why? Because generally speaking, user ID is the primary key in user table, right? Yes or no, guys?
Yes.
If how many can I have different rows with the same primary key value in
No, you
user
cannot.
table?
No, you cannot.
I cannot. If I'm going with the below concept, I should go with a composite primary key option, right?
Correct.
If I follow this one, I should go with a composite primary key in user table.
Correct.
If I go with the above definition, my primary key concept will only be sufficient enough.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
If I go with the above concept, then I have a different line of flow. If I'm going with a below concept, I'm having a different line of flow. Now, if you know the basic difference about when to use what, when should I go with this kind of definition, when should I go with this kind of definition, most of your data modeling concept is understood. Okay, that real-time scenario you should understand whether you should go with this one or this one. We'll try to talk more about this with more examples as we progress through. This is just the first thing that we are talking about. See, if you are having a concept to store value like this, then logically speaking, at a Java level, you require a particular variable. See, this u1 is a string. This particular thing is a collection of strings. You would require a particular data type which would store a group of values. Now, if you try to relate it same to a table, you would require a table, and in the table, user table, you would require a column which should store multiple values. In case you want to create a column which should store multiple values, this is how you do it. You go with something called collection types. In the collection types, this is how you define. Collection type, code equal to string collection, element type equal to string. Now this string should be defined as an atomic type first. This is an atomic type. String is already defined as an atomic type. I am trying to group them and create a new data type called collection type. This string collection is a collection of strings. Okay, now I can use this string collection as a data type to my item type. In my item type, for example, see here, string collection. Okay, we are not using it, so I'll try to see where we are using that string collection, or probably is cart collection used here. See here, you might be defining an attribute called carts. Okay, you would have something called carts as a cart collection. One user can have many carts, right? I'm assuming this is principal table. This is principal only. User, see, a user is having a column called carts which is of type cart collection, because that fellow can have several carts, right? It is not one cart, he can have several carts. You got my point, guys?
Yes.
Hello. So if in case you have a requirement where one person should have so much of data in a single column only, in a single row, that fellow should have so many values associated, you would go with this kind of definition. So cart collection is also a data type. Cart collection is also a data type. Okay, it's a data type only. Collection type and atomic type both are data types only. But atomic type is something which is singular. It's a singular one. It's a simple. It's a basic one. Collection type is a collection of. It's a collection of a group of atomic types or any other types. We'll talk what any other type is a little later. In tomorrow's class, we will be talking about it. But collection type means something which is a combination of some types. It can be a group of enum types, it can be a group of map types or item types or atomic types, whatever it is. Collection means a group, you are grouping them. Atomic type means a basic data type, basic, something which cannot be subdivided. Collection type means something which can also be subdivided. It's a group of things. Okay, what is the default collection in Java? What is the default collection in Java?
We have default collections as list sets, list set.
Wrong. What is the default collection in Java? What is the default collection in Java?
Array.
Wrong.
String.
What is
string.
the
String.
wrong? Hey, don't tell me random answers. What is it?
Map.
Collection itself is a default collection. Yeah, brilliant. Somebody told. You have to typecast it to either list or set. Collection itself is a default collection. There is the class itself called collection, right? See, you can say whether string is list or set. See, for example, they have something called abstract order entry list. They have mentioned the type as list. If you mention the type as list, then you can store list of values in this. If you are mentioning this as set, then it would be storing set of values. If you are not mentioning anything, it would be a default collection only. You need to typecast it to either list or set. Got the point? Yes, no?
Yes, Kiran.
Okay. So default collection in Java is collection only. That is why the value that you are trying to create here would be collection object only. Okay. If you try to create an object for this, that would be a collection object only. You need to typecast it to either set or list, whatever it is. See here, the options that is provided to you in a collection type is the type can be either a list. See here, configures the type of this collection, set, list or collection. Okay, the getter and setter methods will use corresponding Java collection interfaces. Default is collection. If you are not specifying anything, for example, here the type is not mentioned, because of which this would be a collection only, direct collection only. If you are mentioning it as either list or set, accordingly it would be creating a set or list. Okay, that's how you do it. For now, let's just pause here. Tomorrow we would be seeing an example for this, and then we would talk about other data types. Okay, other tags. Remember, the class itself would take us close to 3 to 4 hours. It is a very lengthy topic. I need you guys to be very patient. We'll be taking so many examples. We just completed the first 1 hour. There are 2-3 hours more discussion about the same XML file. You would not be seeing any other code other than this XML file for the next 2-3 days. So just concentrate, know what tags you need to use, because in your interview, this is how they give you. They give a paper to you, marker and board, and they ask you to define a complete structure. They want you to construct a full table structure from the scratch, and then they would ask you what happens when we do this, what happens when I do that, what is the combination, when is a table created, how is a table created, if I need to create a table, what should be the point, if I create the table, what will be the impact in the entity class, if I modify something in the entity class, what should happen, where is the entity class created, how is it created, why should it be created there, all the internal questions will be asked. So it's a little tricky. That is why try to concentrate more. We are still at the nascent stage. We just completed our atomic types and we just started our collection types. Going by this, there is when the concept of relation comes, again I'll ask you about collection types, because these days the increasing trendy question which is right now popular is, when should I go with collections and when should I go with relations. That's a concept. So we'll discuss about it, okay, with some good examples and all. So with that, I finish the class for today, guys. If anybody has doubts, stay back, otherwise you can leave. And by the way, one second. Sunil, I have gone through your code, man. It is, I have sent you one. Did you check it? I have sent you one mail. CMS sync setup. You just need to check that particular value. Okay, try to
When
debug
I
that.
searched for that class, I didn't find actually CMS
Okay, try to
element
find
sync
it
it
out
is
in
not.
your this wiki hybris now. Try to find out some kind of notes for that in wiki hybris. Okay, some
Okay,
CMS
okay,
sync setup is only not working. I think that's it. Other than that, because unless until I am able to reproduce that issue in my local, I'll not be able to debug it.
okay.
Just try it out. Others, go ahead.
Okay, Kiran, in the collection types, say suppose I have string collection, how are the strings placed after one after another? Like, what is a delimiter? That's what my question is.
Don't worry about that. We'll see. And when we talk about the example, I'll show it to you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Kiran, I have one small question. I mean, I thought of asking you yesterday or day before. So it's about, in a single developer environment, whatever you are saying is right. That means creating an extension using module gen and ext gen, whatever. But in multiple developer environment, which code will be checked into, what are the extensions or what are the parts of Hybris will be checked into the source control?
Only two things. One is config, one is your extgen or module gen, whatever you have created. Your custom folder will be checked out, checked in. Your config folder will be checked out, checked in. These are the only two things that you will be checking out, checking in. That is in the
Should we add all the default Hybris extensions to
obvious.
the?
Yes, in any
Okay.
environment, you need to have default Hybris extensions because on the top of them only you're developing,
Oh yeah,
right?
perfect. That's what I mean. That is
Now you need to
my
have your
question
environment
was.
when you set up your when you extract your suite, you would get the default extensions.
Yes.
Apart from that, you would be customizing your config folder by modifying your local extensions.xml file and local.properties, and you would also add your custom folder to it. So that's why apart from the basic stuff that you have just extracted and worked on, apart from that, you would be connecting to your you would be establishing a connection to your custom folder.
Yes. So, when we import these extensions from our source control into your local, so and whatever we have seen right now is kind of all the extensions are present inside the Hybris whatever that base folder. So
Bin folder.
yeah, bin folder. So this one is like, so to make
See, whenever you check in check out,
yeah.
you have to do it from either this path, or if you already have a custom folder, here you need to check out the files.
So that means, we have to map our source control to this location. That's what you
That's
mean.
it.
Okay.
Because here only you will be checking in or checking out files, right? Because
Yeah.
this is the place where you modify.
Yeah. So that's what I mean, because from the source control, we might be mapping it to a different location in your local. But as you said, probably it
You
is
will
good
always do
to
it in your custom folder only because
custom
this is
folder.
if you
Got
want
it.
you can do it this way. Go back to your Hybris folder. Here also you can check out. Here if you check out, what will happen? It will even modify your config folder and it will even modify your bin folder.
All right. Sounds great. Yeah. Thank you.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
If you want to check out only this piece of code,
Uh,
only Nike core, go here and check out here. So only Nike core would be modified. You check out here, all of these would be modified. If you modify here, even the ext gens would be modified. If you check out here, even your config folder would be modified. That's how it is.
Kiran, RK here.
Yeah,
Able
go
to hear
ahead.
me?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
What is the difference between extension and add-on?
What is the difference? You are checking out your interview questions from Google.
Not that way. Because I just started on this and wanted to understand this basic difference.
Okay, where did you see add-on? Just tell me once.
In the extension gen.
When you did ext gen, you had add-on, and what
Yeah.
all options did you had?
Options in the sense while creating it.
What was the
I
default options that you had when you tried EXTGen?
Default is empty, right? YMT.
And after that, what you had?
YMT add-on, and then there are other things.
Then what should be the exact question?
No,
What is the
now
difference between YMT, Y add-on, Y cockpit, Y commerce web services? That should be the question, right?
no. Let's say if I want to build some functionality, so does it come under extension concept, or is it add-on? So that's the basic confusion. I could not get the difference.
You can do it both the ways. Okay.
That's right.
See, I am telling you, many people get confused with this question because they just search Google. If you type in Google, I'm telling you,
Yeah,
because I've
okay.
been, this pattern I've been following since last 20-25 batches. So I know whenever a question is asked, I just wait for this question at the end of the course. But because you're asking now, I'm telling you.
Okay.
There is nothing. Don't get confused. YMT, Y add-on. These are all. See, difference between add-on and this is add-on is also a type of extension. When would you go for add-on? Is see here. If you go for YMT, you would get a folder structure something like this. Okay. You would get a folder structure something like this, wherein you would have your items.xml file also.
Right.
Okay. If you are trying to have an items.xml file in your extension, where you can write your data modeling also. For example, if you are trying to create an extension, if you create an extension using YMT, you would be, this concept I would tell exactly at the end. That's where you will try, because in this 4 hours class only this point would be covered. So when you try to open your extension info, see here, if you try to open Control star add-on, do we have .xml star.xml? See here, you have add-on, right? This is ACC ants add-on. Okay. Okay, let me try to do it. Star add-on star.xml. Just see here. Captcha add-ons.xml. So if you see here, there is this captcha add-on. So extension info.xml. See here, you have extension info.xml file for this extension. If you open this, you have a web module.
Correct.
You have a core module. You have a HMC module. Okay. If you open something called ycommerce, okay, extension info.xml file of some other extensions like ycommerce web services. Here you have core module, web module, but you have meta here. You don't have HMC module. You have core module, web module. If you try to open extension info XML file of Nike services, let's now go for A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P. Nike, where is Nike? Here I have it. Okay, if you open this one, you would only have a web module. So the point here is what kind of code you are trying to write, either web related code or even HMC customization related code, or are you also trying to modify something else? So based upon the kind of functionality that you are supposed to build, you should go with a different type of extension. If you go with YMT, you would get a similar structure. See here, because we have modified see, because one second, what is this Nike payment, right? Nike payment. Okay, I'll try to open Nike payments extension info.xml file. My bad, man. Okay. Extension info.xml file of Nike payment. Did I import it? I think yes. This is there, right? Anyways, this we have not included in our see here, here you are only having a web module and core module. If you are also interested to have a HMC module, then you should go with a different kind of folders, because different kind of extensions will have different kind of folder structure. It will have a different kind of functionality.
Right.
Add-on will give you these three.
Okay.
Add-on will give you these three.
Yeah, we started, probably learning Hybris and to build a gift registry module, and that's where there was a confusion whether to go for YMT or Y add-on. We couldn't get the difference correctly, so that's where my
No
question.
problem. You can go ahead with add-on. You can go ahead with, see, it all depends on how much amount of customization you are supposed to do. If you're going with HMC customization also, I would prefer you to go with add-on. No,
Okay.
you're not quite sure whether you would be modifying your HMC or not. Go with YMT.
Okay, so that's a decision
Based on your architecture, that's what you have to do it.
Okay,
See,
okay, got it.
for further interesting analysis, now if you want to know what is particular difference between Y add-on and YMT, just go with the documentation that you have. Just type the same thing in Wiki Hybris. You would be getting some documents.
No, I have read all the wiki, but
exact difference you would not be able to find out.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
do one thing. There is this new URL which they have introduced, right? experts.hybris.com.
Okay, I did not look at that. Okay, I'll go through
they
that.
have introduced a new URL called experts.hybris.com. Just type that question in that. All your queries should be posted in that.
Okay.
Don't expect an immediate answer because
no, that's fine.
developers like us only should be able to reply over it.
Yeah.
So there's a portal called experts.hybris.com. So just try to post your query there and tell your minimum functionality there. They will be able to help you out. If people from Hybris side only will be able to help you out. Nowadays, people are not posting questions on Wiki Hybris. They are posting it in experts.hybris.com.
Okay. Sure. Sure. Thank you.
No problem, man. Interesting again because I after 2-3 batches I heard this question. Last 2 batches people did not ask me. I only had to tell them.
Okay.
Okay, I'm done with the day, guys. It's already 8:40. We've already done it for 1 hour 20 minutes today. We'll see it tomorrow. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Bye.